You're saying and doing all the right things, like they did. And that makes me nervous, Karen told me, recounting how the last two men in her life also had appeared kind and caring, but ended up cheating on her. By the end of that phone call, the woman I had been dating for about a month had broken up with me. Karen had made up her mind, and I felt completely invalidated. I'm the man I am today largely because of three factors: my DNA, my upbringing, and stumbling upon John Kabat-Zinn around 2006. These factors shaped me differently from most other men. Friends, women I've dated have always remarked that my approach to relationships and empathy stands apart from other people that they know. When I participated in Clearer Thinking's Gender Continuum survey, my responses indicated with 96% certainty that I was female. That's as different as a man can get, I suppose. This difference drives my empathy for marginalized communities and why invalidating someone's individuality is deeply personal for me. Mindful masculinity, this endeavor that I'm doing here, is about confronting stereotypes so that we can free men up to embrace a true self without judgment. Now, before I go any further, let's be clear. I'm not excusing any harmful behavior for men towards themselves or towards anybody else. But being kind or nurturing doesn't diminish a man. In fact, I think it expands what masculinity can authentically represent. Now, women often make assumptions about men based on stereotypes, like Karen did with me. It's exhausting to constantly have your character misread and misjudged. Ladies, not every kind gesture that we demonstrate as men is driven by a desire for sex. Not every man is inattentive or incompetent. Men deserve validation individually first, assumptions and stereotypes second. Don't assume that somehow, based on your individual experience, the way that a man is living his life, raising his children, making decisions about his profession, is somehow not something he's come to with intelligence and maturity. Guys, you too need to look at stereotypes and uncomfortable generalizations made about men and see whether or not there's some kind of truth in that in the way you're living your life. Cheating on a partner, neglectful parenting, yes, too often these are behaviors that men reinforce through their actions. We must actively do better. And I think mindfulness can help, because when you slow down your brain and you think about what you're saying and doing in the moment, you have the opportunity to make a different choice, to break outside of those stereotypes and maybe those behaviors that you perform instinctively because of the way you were raised. Mindfulness rewires us for empathy and for nurturing. It creates healthier relationships, deeper bonds, and is an opportunity for genuine change. Now, you may notice in Mindful Masculinity that pretty much every single one of my Substacks opens with a story. And I'm doing that for a reason, because stories have a unique neurological power to help us put ourselves in a situation, feel empathy for a person in that situation, then start to understand and bridge the gaps with that individual versus having that knee-jerk reflexive action of assuming a stereotype. When we tell our personal narratives and we honor another person's personal narrative, we honor each other's humanity and dignity. And as an amateur Buddhist and someone who's been trying to practice meditation and mindfulness to improve myself, I end up in this video with introducing to you, if you don't already know it, the meaning of the phrase Namaste. What I understand from the Sanskrit is that Namaste means the divine in me honors the divine in you. And what that phrase illuminates is this concept of not assuming and generalizing who someone is if you haven't been able to get to know them deeply first. Because when you are curious and open and respectful and in some kind of engagement with another person, you're honoring the beauty of each one of our individual stories and personalities. So the next time you feel like you might be judging someone, try to catch yourself, pause. Before you make an assumption, maybe ask that person to tell you a story about what you think you're assuming, to see what they tell you more deeply about themselves so you can connect more deeply with them. This is mindful masculinity. Thank you for joining me on this journey. We are out to break stereotypes. We are trying to honor authenticity together so that we can enhance life for anyone, regardless of what gender they identify with.